everybody! In today's video I'm going to be showing you an I Dream of Jeannie design that has the genie on there and she's got the classic outfit, and this is from like the cartoon style from the show, so it's not like a realistic portrait or anything crazy like that, but more of just like the fun cutesy, and it would be so cute as part of a bigger set with all sorts of little elements or scenes from that opening clip. So I hope you love this as much as I do, and don't forget to click subscribe to see all my future videos as well.
I'm going to begin with a slightly sparkly overlay of white acrylic. This white that I have is a little bit of a milky texture, and then it has the teeniest, tiniest little sparkles here and there. So it's not an overly glamorous white, but it still has just a little bit of a fun element to it. And then we're going to encapsulate it with a layer of clear acrylic to make sure that this nail is nice and strong. And then after we have that fully encapsulated, I'm going to file it into shape with my e-file and just go really over it pretty quick. And this is a medium grit bit. Recently, that's just kind of been my go-to instead of doing a multiple bit situation. Just the one has been serving me well. But now we're going to be sculpting her head and her body with a tan color acrylic. And I'm trying to fit a lot of Miss Jeannie into this nail. And so instead of doing like a close-up on her face and doing more details and almost going for more like a realistic version of her, because I really want it to be just kind of like the fun cutesiness. And if you were doing this as part of a set, I would maybe do this as an accent nail on like either the thumb or the ring nail, but then do the logo across a couple of the other nails just to kind of bring the whole thing home. And some of that pink smoky fog stuff. It would be so much fun to do a full set of I Dream of Jeannie nails. Now I'm all over it. I actually did a long time ago. I did a classic TV show series, and this was just regular nail polish, not even gel polish. And so you guys kind of get the date of this. It was probably 4 years ago. But I did a Jeannie set, and I did a whole bunch of them. I did I Love Lucy and different ones, but I Dream of Jeannie has been a favorite of mine. So we've got her first basic little bits of her outfit done, or of her body, I should say, not her outfit. And then we're going to start the outfit. So we got the light pink pants, and the pink that I'm using isn't quite the right shade, so I'm going to color correct it later when I do the details with acrylic paint. But she's got this little bit of like a hip out sort of a stance. So she's got the one hip out, and then the one leg crosses over behind the other one. So when you're working on her pants, try to keep that shape going and tuck the other leg kind of behind it, and then just a tiny bit of the bottom of the one pant leg to the other side of the first leg that she is standing on. And then using that same color, you're going to want to add her top. So she's got like a vest that goes over her top, and then she's got her midriff showing. So when you start that top piece, there's quite a bit of belly showing still. And then we've got like the little underwear type shape that goes on top of the pants, and that is with a more of a darker berry color pink. Is it just me, or does anybody else love these classic costumes from all these old shows? I just get such a kick out of them. Like all the costuming out of the I Love Lucy, I just love watching them. And it's one of those things that you can still, reference and people understand. I love how much of a culture classic television was. So I like I said, I did a whole series of them back when, because it seemed like there's more than just me that's obsessed with all these old shows. So we got the little bit of her vest that goes, and now we're going to be doing her hair with yellow. So the great thing with I Love Lucy, or not I Love Lucy, with I Dream of Jeannie, is that she has this amazing and iconic cartoon character that is in the beginning of the show, much like Bewitched has. And so you can do something that is super like the show, that's real people, but you can do it where it's recognizable in a cartoon instead. So for some people, that's easier. If it is easier to do something that's a cartoon instead of doing something like a realistic portrait, then having this kind of a setup is a really nice thing to replicate, especially for nail art when you're working so small and tiny. So I'm going to go back to that berry color and add her shoes, or at least of her shoes that is showing on the very tip of the nail. And then I'm going to go back and do just a little bits of details here and there. I'm not going to be sculpting any of the details on her face. For me, it's just too small a space to even attempt it. It's much easier to do those little tiny bits with acrylic paint instead. And then we're going to be doing her headband with more of that berry color going across just like between her bangs and the rest of her hair. And then on the side, we're going to be doing that little wispy bit of smoke coming out of the bottle. So we've got that little bit of pink, same color as her pants. And then with blue, we're going to be sculpting the bottle with just that, a little bit of blue. So the actual lamp has a lot of detail to it, or bottle. I guess I don't know which way they call it in this show. This wasn't one that I watched as much as some of the other ones, but I am familiar. But then we're going to be doing all the details with acrylic paint that are left. So like I said, I'm going to color correct her pants and her top with a slightly darker shade of pink that's more close to what it is, and then add a little bit of some red highlights to the berry color areas just to brighten those up too, and add that little bit of, a little bit more intensive color. And then I'm going to be doing blue eyeshadow on her eyelids and just kind of start working on those facial features. Add the whites in her eyes with that acrylic paint. And then after you have those basic parts started, then you're going to go through with some diluted black paint and do all of the little outlines. And because this is a cartoon and from an era where cartoons were fully outlined, you're going to want to do as many outlines as you can and little details in that way. So with brown, actually, I'm going to be doing the outlines in her hair. And I'm sorry my camera is being a goof. This video was actually recorded a few months ago, and it's not, I wasn't quite used to my new camera at this particular stage, and I'm getting better with it. So I apologize though that my camera was going in and out of focus. I kept thinking my fingers are what we wanted to see and not the nail I was working on. But then do all those little black details, especially around her eyes. You want to make sure that you do some intense black lines to make sure that her eyes are a focus of this. And then the lines around her face. And when you're doing this and you want really skinny lines, I know that some people don't use acrylic paint and they opt for gel paint instead. And if you're somebody that really likes gel paint, then I guess you can certainly try. But for me, I always find that acrylic that hasn't been filed into a smooth surface, as soon as it's laid, it does have this very slight texture to it. It's not even a texture that maybe you can feel, but it does have a texture to it. And if you're using a gel product to paint, whether it's gel polish or gel paint or, one of any of those things, it needs that super smooth surface. So unless you apply a layer of gel base coat before you start painting, which wouldn't be the best idea because it would fill in all of your 3D details. But if you, unless you do that, I would always opt for using acrylic paint instead, because it doesn't seem as bothered by the slight texture of the acrylic. It doesn't even seem to really notice it. In fact, it kind of grabs onto the paint, and I think it gives you better control. So if you've never used acrylic paint, and I know some people ask me, why do you use acrylic paint? It's not really a nail product. And you can get some that is made for nails, but even that isn't my favorite. I really like the cheap craft paint because it has a nice thin consistency. It's really quite pigmented. It's non-toxic. So as you can see, I get it on my hand all the time and it is not a problem. And then you can just it's easy to work with. And so I always recommend it, and it's cheap, which is also another benefit. So we're going to add a couple details to the bottle and to the smoke, and then apply some gel sealer over the background. So try to fill in all around all those little tiny details as much as you can. And then some matte top coat over Ms. Jeanne and over the smoke in the bottle. And that is it. If you do this design and you make it part of a set, I'd love to see it, because I just know it'd be so much fun and so bright and colorful and classic. So please share any recreations with me on Facebook or Instagram, and I will see you next time. Bye.